Massive job losses are not a prediction anymore. They are happening right now. And today I'm walking you through 25 jobs that artificial intelligence is already replacing. They are grouped in 9 categories so that you can see the real pattern behind the disruption. This is not just a scary list. This year alone, companies have pinned close to 100,000 job cuts directly on AI. It's making it the number one reason that employers are now giving for cutting their people. You might be telling yourself your job is too hands-on, too relationship-based, too skilled for a machine to touch. Hold on to that thought, because at least 3 jobs on this list were called safe just 2 years ago. My name is Michael Dugan, and I have spent more than 20 years and 20,000 hours training leaders across the largest organization of its type in the world. I have watched roles that look untouchable disappear in a single restructure, and I've sat across the table from good people who did everything right and they still got the call. This is not a fear video. This is a clarity video. A year ago, the big debate in AI was whether we would reach general intelligence or not. A machine that could think across every subject the same way that a human being could. That debate is basically over. The conversation happening inside the top AI labs right now has already moved past that into superintelligence. Systems that do not just match human thinking, but exceed it in nearly every domain at once. That shift is what is driving this list. And if you appreciate me making this type of content, let me know by gently tapping that like button and make sure that you are subscribed so you do not miss out on what's coming next. Let's get into it. Point number 1, the data movers. Data entry, clerks, and billing specialists do one simple thing. They move information from one place to another. Data in, data out. No thinking involved. That is exactly the kind of work a machine can do. Here is the truth. If a job is easy enough that anybody can learn it fast, it will be the first job to go. The more people who can do a job the exact same way, the faster it turns into a repeatable process. And once something is repeatable, a machine can copy it. So look at your own job this week. Ask yourself, how much of my day is data in, data out? That is your early warning sign. And it leads us into the next kind of job at risk, the one that builds on a script. Point 2. The scripted talkers, telemarketers, customer service representatives, and phone-based tech support are being replaced at a pace that most people outside those industries have not even noticed yet. These jobs are built on a script, a set of responses for a set of situations. AI can now deliver that script in any accent, any language, any tone of voice, without a break or without a bad day. One well-known example, the buy now, pay later company Klarna rolled out an AI assistant that handled over 2 million customer conversations in its first month alone, doing the work of roughly 700 agents. Human beings built trust in these calls through consistency, and consistency is exactly what a machine now does better. The principle is this. When your job is to say the right words in the right order, you are competing against something that never gets tired of saying them. Here is the pivot. Do not panic. Move your communication skill towards the part of the conversation that requires reading a person, not reciting a line, because that skill is to become rare and valuable at the exact same time. Point 3, the credentialed but repeatable. This word surprises people the most. Junior software developers, paralegals, and proofreaders all have college degrees, technical training, and years of study behind them, and they are still on the list. Paralegals round out the 3 jobs that I mentioned at the start of this video that were called safe 2 years ago, on the assumption that legal work always needs human judgment. The data tells a different story. Junior paralegal salaries in the document review dropped from roughly $68,000 to $58,000 in just 2 years. And the industry research shows that nearly 70% of the hourly billable work that paralegals handle right now can be done by AI. I know this one personally. 2 of my friends are coders. One was out of work for over a year, finally getting a job. The other one is still putting out applications today. These are sharp, qualified people who did everything the system told them to do, and the market changed on them. Here's the principles. Credentials protect you from the competition of yesterday, not the technology of tomorrow. A degree tells you what someone learned in the past. It does not tell you what a machine can now do faster. The lesson is not that the skill does not matter. It is the skill has to keep evolving because AI targets the version of your skill that only executes a known pattern. What What worked yesterday will not work today. Keep evolving and keep iterating. The faster the iteration, the faster the evolvement. Constant iteration is the new way of life. Point 4, the physical repeaters, assembly line workers, warehouse workers, and retail cashiers are being replaced by robotics and automated checkout systems that run around the clock without complaint. Amazon alone now runs more than 1 million warehouse robots against roughly 1.5 million human workers, a ratio that's closing on 1 robot per person, and the company plans to avoid hundreds of thousands future hires through automation. The principle is simple, and it echoes what we just covered. Controlled, repetitive physical work goes early because a machine does not call in sick. It does not need a break, and it does not unionize. Here is the pivot. It comes down to where you sit in the workflow. The people who survive here move from doing the repeated task to overseeing, maintaining, or improving the system that does it. That is a shift in identity from being an operator to the owner of the process. Exactly what we need to talk about next with the people who coordinate everything in between. Point 5, the middle coordinators. Logistic coordinators, project managers, and human resource professionals sit in the middle of every organization, moving information between departments and keeping projects on schedule. AI is now doing that coordination faster and without the blind spots that a busy human misses. There is something ironic here. The people who often deliver layoff news are now themselves on the list. The principle is that coordination without a real relationships gets replaced by a system that coordinates faster and never forgets a detail. But relationship is the word to hold on to. A system can schedule a meeting. It cannot sit with someone who is struggling and help them find their way forward the way another human can. Here is the pivot. Stop competing on speed and start building the one thing a machine genuinely cannot do: trust. The trust question follows us directly into the next group, the number crunchers. Point 6, the number crunchers. Financial analysts, data analysts, and loan officers built entire careers on finding patterns in numbers faster than the next person. Financial analysis was actually one of the 3 jobs I mentioned at the start of the video called SAFE just 2 years ago. The reasoning was that complex financial judgment always needed a human in the loop. That reasoning has not held up. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Citi have cut junior analyst hiring by as much as 2/3. Entry-level finance hiring is down about 24% since earlier last year. And one Citigroup estimate puts more than half of all U.S. banking jobs at risk of eventual automation. The principle is, if your entire value is pattern recognition, you are now competing against something built for nothing else but pattern recognition. Here is where consciousness comes in, and I mean that literally. With consciousness comes capabilities. The analysts who last are not the fastest. They're the ones who look at what the machine found and ask a better question. They bring judgment and value to a number that has none of its own. The same shift from producing output to shaping meaning is exactly what is happening to the creative roles we are covering next. Point 7. The creative producers, graphic designers, copywriters, and social media managers are watching their output become a prompt instead of a craft. Graphic design was one of the jobs I mentioned at the start of the video that was called SAFE 2 years ago, on the argument that real creativity could never be automated. 2 years later, that argument has not aged well either. The World Economic Forum now lists graphic design as the fastest declining job on the earth. And in the recent Future of Jobs report, a freelance graphic design posting dropped nearly 20% within the first year of mainstream AI image tools hitting the market. AI can generate a logo, write an ad, or plan a week of posts in seconds, and it does not need a coffee break or does not have creative blocks. The principle is that creative execution without a distinct point of view becomes commodity work, and commodities get automated. What does not get automated is taste. a genuine point of view, a brand voice that comes from a real human perspective. Set the temperature. Do not read the thermometer, meaning do not just react to what the market is doing. Decide what you stand for and let that direct your work. Here is the pivot. If you are in a creative field, stop competing on output and start competing on originality, because a machine can produce endless content, but it cannot have lived your life. Point 8, the life event professionals, travel agents, realtors, and bank tellers built their value on personal services during major life moments. Booking a trip, buying a home, managing money. To be fair to realtors, the number here are not as dramatic as people predicted. Membership at the National Association of Realtors has barely moved in the past year. What is changing is the front end of the work. The searching, the planning, building itineraries, narrowing down properties, making basic banking online. All of that now happens before a person ever gets involved. The principle here is uncomfortable. Even the jobs that felt personal were often personal only because there is no better tool available yet. The good news is the actual life moment, walking through the house, standing at the closing table, making a big financial decision under stress, still needs a human who can read a room and hold space for someone during something significant. Here is the pivot. Lean all the way into the part of your job that requires presence, not just information, because information just got a lot cheaper. Point 9. The corporate modernization wave. Administrative assistants and content moderators are part of a larger pattern I am watching in real time. Inside my own world of corporate training, they've introduced AI as a training system, a tool for automation, minimization, and modernization, all in the name of making things easier for the end user and the customer. They are cutting costs everywhere they can. People are being let go weekly. Others are leaving on their own before they get the call because fear got louder than their confidence. The principle is that organizations always modernize towards efficiency. That is not new. What is new is the speed in that it is happening. And here is the pivot. The one thing I want you to actually take with you today. The people who thrive in this kind of change are not the most talented. They are the most adaptable. Everything is your teacher, including a layoff, including watching your friends struggle, if you let it teach you instead of just scare you. Let us bring this all the way home. 25 jobs, 9 patterns, 1 truth. The work that survives is the work that requires judgment, relationship, creativity, and presence, not just repetition. Your action step for today is write down what percentage of your job is judgment and creativity versus repetition. That number tells you exactly where to start building. If you appreciate this video, let me know by gently tapping that like button and subscribe so we can keep growing together. Because we are not here to avoid pressure, we are here to embrace it. We are building strength, and we are turning snowflakes into diamonds.